Hello there, good evening, welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and it's a warm welcome back to every single one of you watching the channel. Whether you're watching me as live or whether you're catching up later down the road, thank you for joining us. As you can see, I've got a bit of a full screen here, and it's new faces because you're getting fed up of seeing Paddy, you'll be getting fed up of seeing Joe. Shh, don't tell him, but that's just the way it is. Paul D is back on screen, mate. My other bearded brother, and down below is a new face, and it is Brian Sexton, another top Celtic man, and he also has his Sexton Football Stories podcast as well. Worth checking that out in your own time. Guys, thanks for joining us. How are we doing?
Brilliant.
Great,
Can't complain. Since the last time I was on, mate, there's been a flurry of goals. We've rattled in 10 goals. We're through to a final and sitting pretty, and Brendan said he's wee word with the squad and things are back on an even keel.
Absolutely. Yourself, Brian, you enjoying what's been happening after that wee dip of form?
Yeah, it's a dip of form that happens to teams up and down the country though. Like the full UK have teams and they dip in form, but I think it's highlighted more in the press here when Celtic have a dip in form because they set such high standards. Yep. And the fact of the matter, they set such high standards, and then when they're no trouncing teams, and during that time, I kind of obviously took some notes, and in one of the games where we didn't actually win, we had 89% possession in 26 shots. Now, if that's a team in crisis, then what is it? But we're back to the final and everything going to plan. We lift the trophy in Saturday.
Yep. That's it, exactly as we say. We're on course for the inevitable you'd like to think to happen coming the weekend, and of course we secured it in dominant fashion against St Johnstone, booked our place in yet another final, and of course, as you've seen with the tagline, our dominance just lays bare the sheer pain of the onlookers, the ones from the outside, whether it's in the media, whether it's from other fan bases, whether it's from other clubs, and we're going to talk about that because the bitterness has been coming out, and we'll get around to that. Before we do, to be quick bit of housekeeping, you know the score by now. If you like what you see in here, give us a wee thumbs up. Most important thing, cost you nothing. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way you'll get notified every time we go live. You know the socials by now. We're on X at CWO Pod 1888. We're on Blue Sky. Catch up on Spotify, and Paddy runs that thing for the young people called TikTok. You can check out his daft videos on there if that's your bag. Anyway, guys, let's get down to business because, yeah, as I said, the pain is tangible. You can almost reach out and grab it. There's a taste of bitterness in the air because as soon as we do something good, there's somebody queuing up to knock us down. I think after that dominant performance at the weekend, I actually found that the Sun decided that mere hours after it, they wanted to announce that the big takeover is almost done. It's pretty much signed, sealed, delivered. And if you want to talk about diversionary tactics from the team that are performing, look no further than that. But there was another one, and I want to get your opinions on it. It's a certain Mr. Callum Crowe of the Mail Online, and I had a wee laugh at this, and I'll better jump off point. I want to bring this up because there's some cracking garbage in this here, and this is a wee excerpt, just to paraphrase, because it's mainly absolutely trite, but let's have a look at some of the key points he was saying. Basically saying that it's becoming tedious. This treble is going to be tedious. And he says, because in truth, it's shaping up to be one of the most boring and uninspiring trebles any team, not just Celtic, any team has ever accomplished. If that sounds harsh or misplaced, consider this. In the 4 Old Firm matches against Rangers so far, Celtic have only won 1 in 90 minutes. And yes, do you know what? I will give you that. We've mentioned that. They lost 3-0 at Ibrox a few weeks ago before Philip Clement was sacked. They lost 3-2 at home, managed by Barry, the stopgap manager, who hasn't won a game at Ibrox since being in the job for 2 months. He then goes on to say that in the League Cup final in December, we needed penalties to overcome one of the poorest Rangers teams in recent memory. And then says, only a fortnight ago, we lost to St Johnstone, which we did, who sat bottom of the table and looked destined for championship football. He likes to wrap it up by saying, should they win their 5 remaining matches, and that is a big if, would put them on track to finish the season with 96 points. And he then talks about how that's less than Brendan's first treble. He then talks about how that's less than the achievements of Ange. And this is the bit I like at the bottom. The lack of jeopardy around the title race isn't healthy. It does Scottish football no favours and makes for a long and boring, uninteresting product. Brian, welcome to the show. Talk to me about this madness, mate. Is the bitterness just not seeping out of that article.
It's actually really embarrassing, to be perfectly honest with you, that a journalist is able to print such nonsense. And I come from a Celtic point of view, but I come from a Scottish football point of view as well. Aberdeen, what's the point in travelling down there to come to the cup final? Why don't you bother come down to the cup final? And why don't we just then go, well, do you know what? Let's have a contest where Celtic are absolutely dominant, and rightly so. They've been the best team, and the best team always wins the league. I don't care what anybody says. At the end of the season, the best team win the league. We've won the double. Everything going to plan. We're going to win the treble. However, we've still got Aberdeen to play, and it's so disrespectful that a Scottish football journalist would allow this to be printed in the media, and it's a total disregard for the exceptional play that Celtic have undertaken. Celtic are a class above. They actually were fantastic on Saturday and actually rested Jota and Kuhn because, again, they've set such high standards, Kuhn and Jota, and Brendan's made it clear, if you're not setting these standards, somebody else is there to take your place. Now, if you end up winning and getting 96 points, that's an unbelievable achievement. And the fact of the matter is, if you can't see that, you shouldn't be reporting on Scottish football journalism.
No.
But when I sit here, I think it's very disrespectful to Scottish football.
I mean, that's the thing, Paul, is when you look through that article, just on that sort of snapshot of the highlights, if you want to call it that, he's basically, as we well know, saying that Celtic are winning anything, and as Brian says, so what is the point? What is the point for everybody else? Because it doesn't matter. Is there not look at it, flipping its head and say, shouldn't other teams striving to be better, right? Now, we see Scottish football handicapping itself time and time again. You've got teams who are cutting allocations when, whether they like it or not, they should be looking to capitalise on Celtic and Rangers coming to town, filling out those stands, getting that money, and you know what, maybe reinvest it in better players, better product, give themselves a better chance to get better placed in the league, so on and so forth. But he then goes down the route of saying, it's that boring, it's that predictable, and he starts trying to sell our players. Alistair Johnstone, he'll be thinking about wanting to go now because Celtic are just absolutely dominating. Look at other guys at Tatty, he'll be wanting to jump. The names roll off his tongue nice and easy. As Brian says, it's embarrassing for not only him as a so-called journalist, he's just a hack out there that's clearly got an issue with Celtic, in my opinion. But what is the solution here then? Because as far as this Celtic juggernaut goes, as long as we keep winning, as long as we keep running as well as we are, we have a good manager, we bring in proper players, that is going to, maybe not trebles, but that's going to be a bit of the status quo. It's not our problem, it's theirs, isn't it?
No, that's really it. I echo everything that Brian was saying there. It's an article that's just absolutely from start to finish tainted with rage, jealousy, everything that you would see in a kind of fans, like maybe some kind of press release you would see in some club paper at a game. It's just absolutely crap. I don't agree with the sentiment at all that Scottish football's in the doldrums, let alone this season. We've had some absolutely brilliant performances at the start of the season from Aberdeen before they had their wee phase where they fell away. We've had some cracking Dundee derbies, we've had some cracking Edinburgh derbies. This season alone, I actually thought at some points that I thought, do you know what? As much as I personally have had the goes at various clubs, I actually thought things are actually starting to look up a wee bit. We've been in Europe at a very high level, taking a Bayern Munich team pretty much all the way. They had their run as well. So Scottish football's in a terrible place, according to this guy. Completely way off the mark and inaccurate. Journalists like that didn't exist back, in the days where a certain other team was financially doped and was treating itself to every title that went, while there was no investigation and no looking behind the scenes and trying to get rid of players. And, it just absolutely smacks of desperation. But in this climate that we live in now with the social media and how easily people are influenced, journalists, and I use that term loosely, like this guy, will use any opportunity they can to try and steer narratives to stain and taint any kind of success that Celtic have. But they've been at it for a while and we just keep winning.
100%. And Brian, on this topic, the wider concern, if you will, that this guy apparently has for Scottish football and its well-being, you come at this for a sort of student of the game, the Scottish game, obviously do it through your own podcast and likewise. But in terms of that, as we say, we shoot ourselves in the foot multiple ways right now. And on top of this as well, we've got the powers that be running it, thinking that the way to revolutionise and make the game more exciting in Scotland is to reduce it to 10 teams. I mean, these two things don't match up, do they?
No, and getting on to the organisation that's running it, I actually was listening to a couple of guys from Dundee speaking about the game of the weekend. And both of them, Dundee and Dundee United, guys have got a podcast, they actually both were in agreement that this game shouldn't be in Dundee at the weekend. The game should be at home. The first opportunity should be with Celtic, 60,000 fans. Get the job done. I don't think any Celtic fan out there would disagree with going then on to maybe 3 away games in a row. Now, different if it's a title decider and we're only 3 points ahead, then yep, you've got a tricky tie at Dundee who are going for Europe, Dundee United, 15 points clear, monumentous. Go to Parkhead, go and win the title. Let's enjoy ourselves. But no, what do? They send us up to Dundee, out the way, and that to me just sums up the organisation from the top. When you look at 10 teams, you can't have 10 teams. I totally appreciate the money for Sky, and they've got you over a barrel. But we can't have 10 teams. You've got Falkirk bringing 7,000 to games, 8,000 to games. You've got other teams. Partick Thistle again would probably bring 5 or 6. So we should be looking to increase the Premier League, not decrease it. Yeah. I mean, 10, you can't have 10 teams, but that's my own opinion. You can't have 10 teams. But if that's the case, then they'll need to then look at, well, where do we go then? Do we do the split again? How could you split 5 teams versus 5? It doesn't work. And again, as I go back to the point, it's so disrespectful to everyone else that's in that league, in particular guys like Stevie Robinson. What a job at St Mirren. And they're a hard team on a low budget. And he'll probably be in the
even look at the likes of Dundee and stuff like that. Absolutely. As well. This season have taken us to town, they've taken Rangers to town.
Absolutely.
There is teams trying to do the right thing in there. And that's the thing. As I say, we should be looking to see how can we bring more money into the game, how can we make the league better, but also teams around themselves need to have a wee bit of self-awareness and take the chance of the money when it's there, if they know.
Well, if you're looking at the weekend's game, right, there's 3 world-class goals scored there. Nice. So is that easy?
Apparently it's because Celtic have better players, are going to score better goals and all that. Nice. I'm sure that's the reason behind it.
And any player that I've spoken to over the years and in my podcast and all through Scottish football, it's not easy to win titles. It's not easy. And the days when you're not playing well and you need to grind out a result, we have, and we seem to do it. We've got a fantastic captain there that strives on pressure. We lost him for a wee blip with injury. Again, you notice the difference, but we've then come back. We've made substitutions at the weekend that are impact players, and that's not our fault. And hopefully this weekend, we just go up to Dundee, we go and win it, and then we bring it back to Glasgow and again, focus on getting the treble in the bag.
100%. I can't agree any more than that. And the thing is, you mentioned the fixtures. A lot of people turn around and says, the appetite from a TV standpoint, I don't agree with it, or there's no way that's going to be allowed, that Celtic with their first home game, their next game after split at home to secure the title there, and then the last one at home. There's no way that's going to happen. I mean, there's funnier things that happen when they arrange the fixtures, isn't it? Like, I always believe that, maybe I'm wrong on this one, but correct me if I'm wrong, that Rangers always seem to get Armed Forces Day on that weekend at home, and they always seem to play a team like, maybe, I don't know, Hearts or Kilmarnock or somebody who you might think are a like-minded mindset. That's awfully convenient how that always happens to fall, isn't it?
You're starting to sound paranoid there. Come on. No.
I know, I'm sorry. I just check myself.
You're right. You're right in what you say, that some of the planning, some of the way that the fixtures seem to roll on year after year should be examined further. If they want to look at the game, they need to look at how they've been structuring things so far and completely rip it up. But the 10 team thing is just an absolute wind up. That's never going to happen. Well, if it's going to happen, it's never going to work.
That's it. The supercomputer. There we go. Steve was saying, "I don't want to get the supercomputer involved." And imagine trying to work out a 12-team league or a 14-team league. It'd be broke, man. It'd be smoke coming out and everything. I wouldn't be able to work out. Try to work out who can shoehorn Rangers' fixtures to where they need to be.
Especially before and after European games.
We're no going down that conspiracy there. But no, and the thing is, you see as well, Brian, on the rest of this article, we can see right through it. It's so transparent, right? It's absolute desperation, trying to discredit. Now, let's look at some of the points that he actually makes in it. For discussion's sake, right? Starts off saying unprecedented success, where Rodgers would be if he secures another treble. And he goes on to say, where would that put him in relation to the annals of great Celtic managers? Well, the reality is not very much, and also the team that he has are far from being a vintage, and I will agree with that. Far from a vintage team. They're not the best Celtic team to win a treble. They're not even the best Celtic team in recent years. What about that kind of chat, mate?
I don't know. I still think you're doing them a wee bit of a disservice there. With I think the team now, the way the football is now, you've got to fill them with young guys, young professionals, and we're a team now that's buying players to try and move them on. With young players comes inconsistency. However, I mean, I've got to agree that some of the teams, with Scott Brown included, were just different class. But if you look at Maeda's going to run away with the Player of the Year. You've got guys on 30 plus goals. You've got other guys contributing 20 plus goals. Now, when you look at back, this is why I've kind of had a wee look, and I wrote this down before I come on tonight. Some of the stats for some of the teams maybe 8 years ago, midfielders weren't scoring and weren't performing the same way that this team is. And again, Nicholas Kuhn's went off the boil a wee bit, but that guy, everything he touched before Christmas was turning to gold. He's unearthed Maeda even more, and that's got to be on Brendan Rodgers and his man management. And the fact of the matter is, if he goes on to get a treble this year, it's been totally and utterly deserved, and long may it continue. Yeah.
I mean, the big focus seems to be on the results against Rangers, Paul. We spoke about this right now. As we say, see whenever the pictures are wheeled down, you look back in the history books, all you'll see is the pictures of Celtic with the trophies, their name on there, and you'll get the stats: win, loss, draw, goals scored, goals against, blah blah blah. It won't turn around and say asterisk lost X games against Rangers. Will not say that. No. But for debate's sake, I'm not giving the guy any credit here because it's garbage. But do you think that if we do not go and beat Rangers and make amends for the previous results and beat them on the form that we've been in the last two games, proper dominant, return to form, saying, well, this is what it is. We've been letting it go. Here we are. Put them to bed. Back in the box, if you want to call it that. See if we weren't to go and it needs to be a win, because if a draw would still be coming out with a worse head-to-head record against Rangers. Does that slightly, from the hacks and the history books and all that garbage, does it slightly not taint, but does it take a wee bit of shine off it if they come away with a better record head-to-head?
Potentially, because you want to finish this season on a real high and put the absolute gloss on it. And the gloss for me would be, righting the wrongs of some of the results against them that have taken place this season. Some of the way we played in some of those games was pretty much unacceptable. And what this journalist boy has actually done is put our team talk. First thing that Brendan should do is print that out and put that up in the dressing room wall, because
I love that saying. Get it on the dressing room. Yes,
you've just wrote our team talk.
Just say, look at him, they're all fucking slagging you off.
Well, that's it. That's it. We've all played football, and we've had situations where there's been people doubting you and calling you out. Well, Callum, what's his name? Callum Crowe.
Yes.
He's given. Not that Brendan needs it. Brendan's an elite level manager, something that various clubs don't have and won't have for a very long time. He knows how to do these things better than anybody. He'll be having his own secret thoughts about how to motivate us. And as I say, the gloss needs put on. And the wee in talks that we've had after the wee couple of bad results and some of the poor performers, I think we're hitting form at the right time. We're getting into this now with the games that need to be won, getting won, more importantly.
Aye. I mean, Brian, as I says, for you put any lean on that, the results against Rangers, says you'll forget about it if it's going to be another, party for a treble. But I know they've been garbage across the piece, and it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And I know it's the bragging rights, the bragging rights trophy. But I can't recall a season in my time where the team that have won the league, that I believe, obviously, the Tommy Burns season, that's maybe the anomaly there. But I mean, where there's been a very clear one side has got the lion's share of the results in that fixture, and they went on to win the league. Does it mean anything to you beyond that?
It always means something when you want to win. You want to see your team playing well. But I think what we forget is this is their cup final every single season, is to beat Celtic.
Yeah,
they're happy.
True.
If they're happy with that, and there's no trophies at the end of the day, then I'm sorry, you've got a team full of serial losers and they're cheating them. And I don't care. We can go to Ibrox, we can win, be great to win. We're going there as the champions. We could go there, the pressure's off us. The problem I've got is, what's the damage going to be? Because the team talk from the other end will be, let's just destroy them. Let's just see what we're going to do. And we can't afford to get into that thing without being off the back of some great results. And as you said, Paul, Brendan will have his psyched up. And if we go there, and see, to be honest with you, if we go there and we draw, we're still the champions. We're going for the treble. And if you're happy as a fan to accept that that's your cup final every year, when it comes to the nitty-gritty and we need to win, we win. And that's the difference.
And that's the thing. I think this will be looked upon as being like a cup final. It's the last fixture. There's rights, there's wrongs to be put right. We've got to turn a corner. We've got to turn up. We've got to put in a good performance. It is at their home ground, obviously with the increased earth support there, which will be good to see. And I think that those two in between, as much as I didn't buy into what the manager's saying about maybe a bit of complacency with the big lead and stuff like that, I always think you should be able to get up for those games. If you can't get up for a game against Rangers, then it's a bad day. Strangely enough, Rangers can't get up for the other games, but they seem to get up for that against us. Why? Because, as Brian says, it's a cup final for them. It's the all or nothing. So I just feel with those extremely high stakes, it's the last one. It's either egg on your face for us, where they come away with a better record, albeit no trophies to show for it, or for us to remind them this is why we've won the league. So looking forward to it, definitely, and I'm really looking forward to seeing kicking off with Dundee, the United, see how we go with there. And I think if we get a similar result as we've got to the past two, then I'd be feeling relatively confident that we'll do that there. But just to finish up on this Clowns article, I just want to talk about the players, because that's obviously something we've got to look at. We are now into the second season of Brendan. We know that things need to get refreshed. If you look at his time at other clubs, he usually hits that sort of second into third season malaise where things either, I wouldn't necessarily say fall apart and capitulate, they don't, but it starts to become a wee bit more, dare I say it, tedious at times. It's undoubtable that we need to freshen things up. The manager's been talking about that, Paul. He's been saying that we need to do it. This guy's mentioning the success of Celtic, the predictability of Celtic means that big names are going to leave. Do you prescribe to that? Do you see anything in that? Now, we've obviously said that Hatate, let's start with him, is a guy that we would probably put our money on as being the most likely candidate to leave. In the past 3 games or so, he looks like a man reinvented that's, he's coming out in the media and saying, I want to push on, I want to sprint over the line, I want to be successful. Is that a guy who's suddenly turned a corner because he's fully invested once again? Is it a guy that's playing for a move? Do you see anything in that, mate?
We have chatted about Rio Hatate, and I'm a very big fan of Rio. He's a magician with the ball when he is invested in wanting to turn games. There's been times this season, as we've discussed, where there's been times where he just looks as if he's dialing it in and just jogging about the park. Things are bouncing off him. I know anybody's entitled to a bad game now and again, but there's been times where he's lit the place up and there's been times where he's stunk the place up. I really hope that what he's doing at the moment isn't just put himself in the shop window. I would love him to consistently, I know everybody can play consistently, at the top level. He's been quite fortunate with injury this season. He's been available all the time. I just hope that he's no finding a new level with one eye on, working his ticket. I would rather we kept him, but we'll see how it pans out. I don't think there's going to be a mass exodus. So this talk about Alistair Johnstone. Alistair Johnstone absolutely loves his time at Celtic.
Yeah.
Maeda, if we can.
Well, I mean, look at the length of time that we've got out Carter Vickers. I'm pretty sure that you would have expected, with the way that he was playing, that he'd be a likely candidate to move after sort of 2.5, 3 seasons. He's now well into 4 of that now. Yeah. So again, he's clearly not getting bored of winning stuff, is he?
That's the thing. That this clown paints this picture that if he can't derail us by one way, then he's looking at the players and trying to draw some kind of emphasis on the players. I'll all be getting bored with this. The smell of Brasso must be making them sick, the amount of trophies are lifting, their arms will be killing them. Woe is me, doomsday scenario, all this silverware at Parkhead getting paraded. Long may it continue. If that's the kind of level of hurt, Rodgers will look to bring in players, there's no doubt about it. He will look to reinvest, and obviously now that the game's going to be revolutionised with the 49ers coming into town, that'll be Dermot Desmond will be sitting going, oh wait a minute, I was starting to maybe think about other matters, but I might just stay on here and keep going with this.
Well, it remains to be seen. The 49ers, we've all been told that it's going to be a newfangled Rangers, the richest team in the world, the best players, the best manager in the dugout. I'm keeping my powder dry, but on the way things have gone, forget 49ers, come the end of the season, you'd probably think they'd be 69, wouldn't they, and back to winning absolutely nothing, such as the way it goes. But as I say, listen, we'll see how that pans out. Brian, just on the player, this trying to stir the pot, the successes, bleeding complacency, folk feel like they've hit their peak, it's time to move on. Anything in that for yourself? I mean, when we think about it, we've done the Champions League, we get those 10 games there, that should surely have whet the appetite of some of these players, and I think there's certain guys that are getting mentioned. Yes, they've been there for a couple of seasons now, but is there still room to grow in them? Alistair Johnstone, Maeda, is there a likelihood that Maeda would want to stay around, considering the fact that we're no doubt going to be adding to this squad?
The problem you've got is money talks. With Maeda in particular, you're now going on to a 20 million plus player, as far as I'm concerned. He's played 46 games this season. Now, anybody looking at that, it's frightening. And he's the hardest working striker I think Celtic's ever had. I think pound for pound, mile for mile. I'm not talking about goals and assists and returns and skill. The hardest working guy. Now, one of the Premiership teams will be looking at that 100%. Alistair Johnston's gone nowhere. Loves it in Glasgow. He's gone nowhere. Hatate's a strange one because when he went off the boil and he was getting touted for all the money, I think he's playing for a move now. I agree with what Brown had said earlier. But again, he gained you 50 appearances, 51 appearances a season. Now, it's a long season. You're not going to play phenomenal in every single game.
Yeah,
but we come to the fore at the end of the season. Right now, the business end, as Alec Ferguson said, the business end is Easter beyond. If you're still in the mix, and these guys at the weekend there, you can quite clearly see. But the one I have the issue is, and totally plunge, Dyson is the first name in the sheet. The issue is if you get the big bucks, because at this particular moment, what weight, goals, he's irreplaceable now. I know everybody's replaceable, but he's irreplaceable. And he'll need to, but if 25 million pig comes in, Celtic will sell him. You know what we're like,
Well, here's the thing for you, right? I mean, obviously, we'll look at some of the guys that have moved on. There's always a cautionary tale, let's be honest, in some of the biggest names that have moved on. Let's wind the clock back. I mean, even to an extent, Tierney, now I know that he's a guy that could be coming to us as a Champions League winner in the fullness of his time there. But again, that was a wee bit up and down where he found himself out of favour and he had injuries, things like that. Injuries don't count him, don't happen. But look at your Dembélés who had that wee purple patch, loans to Atletico Madrid, didn't really pan out the way it happened. Look at Ayer. Where is Christopher Ayer? What is a Christopher Ayer? I don't know. And then you've even got to look at Matt Riley stuttering down there. Jota went away. That was a money decision. He worked his way back. It's countless, mate. Edward. Again, what is Edward doing with himself? Do you think, Brian, that there is a wee bit of cautionary tale? And even as recently as Kyogo, you know, if we're talking about Maeda, I've always said when we spoke, myself, Paul, Paddy, Maeda seems like a guy who's humble, grounded, and in this last season, it feels as if he's really properly embedded into the Glasgow lifestyle now. You see that with his family, and very much a family man, and he seems to be enjoying it. It's, I previously looked at a guy who was playing well, up and down with form, but you maybe thought, is he properly settling in? Quite the opposite now. He looks like he's part of the furniture. So I maybe think that stuff like that could keep him more around. But when he looks at his pal Kyogo, would that make you feel a wee bit more confident?
No, I think that if he is going to move, I think it'll be a business decision. I don't think he'll have too much say in it, and that's quite disrespectful to him because obviously you're the one that says to your agent. But I hope he stays for another season because he terrifies the life out of defenders. I've not seen a Celtic player like that for a long time. That with his pace and his power and his work rate, you can't take him out of that team. Like you get his work rate is unbelievable. And if we can keep him for another season, and Brendan will do his best I think we need another striker. That's my personal opinion.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think we need to build. And as you said, he's the first player on the team sheet now for me. And him and Kasper Schmeichel, before he was injured, were the first two, with no shadow of a doubt. But now, as you said, he's went from being this guy is now who our forefront. He is our main man in that attacking lineup. And we've got to do everything in our power, I think, to make sure that he comes back for Champions League football next year.
Definitely. You know, Paul, I've been talking about tying up assets. Undoubtedly, Maeda is that one there. Also mentioned it as well, you know, I think when the end of the season comes round, Celtic should be looking at tying up Brendan as well. Now, he says to us that he's 150% going to be there for that final season on his contract. Now, I know we shouldn't be looking at it, and that's not the way to do it. Do I think Brendan's here for 10 in a row? No, I don't. You know, that's a long way down the route. Do I think that he's here for 5, maybe 6 in a row? Potentially. I think we've got to look at it similarly like when we go back to players and what we did with the Petrov route. I think we should be having the question with him and saying, look, we know you've given us those 3 years, you've built the bridges, you've came here, you've wanted to repair a bit of legacy and a bit of reputation amongst the fans. And again, as Brian's saying, a business decision. See if Brendan maybe sees himself as going, right, let's get through this year. Let's see, I think, depending on how the campaign goes, of course, you need to win the league to stay in a job. But if he does okay, if we get in the Champions League and we get another wee bit of improvement, I think he might want to have one more go at that. So, on top of these players, is try to get the manager on a contract so that if he is doing well, when the time moves on, he's laying his cards out and wanting to secure what's right for the club so that if I do move on, I'm not saying I'm going to, but if it comes around, you're well compensated.
Aye, totally. Brendan, like some of the players, has had that wee time away from Celtic and has dipped his toe elsewhere, and you know, had obviously back down to Leicester and things, and you know, we know what happened there. He's came back up here with a real hunger, the hunger that he had for the club. We know that he went away, and there's still people that are not over that. I was kind of like that for a while after he came back, but me and him are back on. We've repaired any lasting wounds that were there, because you see what you get with him. By all accounts, his family love it up here. He likes being back up here. The club really should be quite agile in getting basically a new contract sorted out. I don't think it would be a major problem. I think, if I'm being honest, I think he would stay here longer, but we'll just need to wait and see what happens. But long may it continue, because his hunger for the club and his relationship, more importantly, with Nicholson and with the club directors and the running of the club, the proper running of a proper football club, he gets that and he loves that stability. So I would be all for him staying there longer. Yeah,
100%. I think that's one we've got to look at. As you say, there's plenty of things that are good in it. I mean, I don't know about you, but we've been talking about it's all rather tedious, guys. I mean, I can't believe that we're talking about wanting to secure players that are on the cusp of goal scoring records for a season, you know, managers that are winning. It's terrible, isn't it? I mean, it's just absolutely shocking. What are we doing? I'm fed up with this. You know, I'm pining for the days of Louis Macari again. You know, but I want a bit of unpredictability in my Celtic football.
I lived through that era, and I tell you, it was very uncomfortable. because all that happened when you went into your work was we're the champs.
Aye.
And no matter, you've not got a comeback, and the fact of the matter is we're the champs again, and we are going to win the treble, and it'll be brilliant.
I wish personally that I could go back to the building sites that I was working on during their 9 in a row and the same people, and I could just somehow transport myself back and just go that, well, lads, look at us.
It's terrible. And I always remember one of the sort of original turning points for that era was whenever we signed Sutton, and I had people and slagging off his fucking washed up his shite. That was beautiful, wasn't it? That was a great turning point there for them. But anyway, guys, as we say, it's absolute gutter stuff, as we said. We've covered Mr. Crow's garbage there. As I said, it was funny after that result. Let's talk about that result. We won that comfortably at a canter. But as I say, it's 7 o'clock at night. The Scottish Sun were going to tell us about the big takeover, the 49ers empire, coming and rolling into town to ruin Celtic's day, to just deflect, to take shade onto Celtic's success here. Call me, try to cause a wee bit of conspiracy here. In my mind, I think that deal's dealt. I think as we see that they're going to be getting in this guy for Everton, supposedly the odds-on favourite is Stevie Gerrard. Cool, I'm all right with that. Bring it on. And of course, it's going to be pretty much announced over here. Brian, place your bets. Is it going to be after we win the league against Dundee United, or is it going to be after we win the treble when they actually tell us that it's happened, just to sort of detract from our success again?
I think it'll be almost completed the day we win the league. It'll be a Friday and Saturday article, and then it'll be a weekend article.
10-page souvenir pull-out in the paper.
I think it'll be a weekend article. Now, starting because bear in mind, this guy's done this article. He's put a lot of thought in it. You've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's put a lot of thought in it. That's not just been an article that's been done over 90 minutes. That's been done 3 days prior to us waiting. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's been done 2 weeks prior to us going to go and win the league. And then it's just been, as soon as it's kind of viably possible, we're coming off the back a fantastic result, that it just gets printed. And good luck to them.
I'm thinking, let me know, commenters, this looks like an infiltrator, doesn't it? Because that's not the kind of partner that we would say, is it? Surely.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong here. I'll let them sit. It's a little wee.
They're obviously following me about. It's only show in town, isn't it? So
that's that. But
it must be nice to see some smiling places and talking very well about your club.
And this is the thing, because we're going to be set for another revolution. As I said before, Rangers as a club, I don't want to labour too much talking about them. They need evolution. They don't need revolution, because God knows we've had so many of them. And I had a wee interaction with a couple of people today on it. A couple of Celtic-minded folk posted about it, and of course I had just a sort of objective and quite adult reply to it. And of course, one of these, Twitter fame fools that are of the blue persuasion. Oh, look at us, ha ha ha! It's what they don't understand, and I keep saying this. I have no doubt, and I've never denied this. It can only be a good thing for them. If you're a Rangers supporter, it can only be a good thing, because you've got people with proper business acumen wanting to come in, wanting to invest in your club, wanting to make a fist there, wanting to make you profitable, wanting to make you great again. But that doesn't happen overnight. It's like having a girlfriend, right? You stay with your girlfriend, you're not married, you're not engaged. She wins the lottery, doesn't mean that you're a millionaire, by the way.
It really is. It's moonbeams of the era where they were talking about, what was it, they were going to build a casino over there and stuff.
Floating pitches and all that? Nah, bring it back.
These articles are coming from outlets that have absolutely no moral fibre at all, that have been disgraced.
He's 49ers. He's sitting there with his San Francisco 49ers helmet on.
Joe Montana, couldn't pull him at the mess of it?
See you later, mate. See you later. Thanks for watching the most successful.
Exactly. Make sure you share it. Like and share, mate. Like and share.
Like share. You can't subscribe anymore, but boohoo, unlucky. Go and find one of your own.
No, it's quite affable, but good luck to them. And again, Stevie Gerrard's on £10 million a year, so if his account's quite happy for him to take a nosedive in wages, then good luck to him.
And this is the thing. Sorry, this revolution that they're talking about, I've no doubt, as I say, they will improve. The way I described it is, I reckon that it could be a Fergus McCann type period for Rangers with a wee bit more spending. I don't mean raging success. What I mean is stabilising it, getting things together, trying to make them a going concern, trying to improve the nuts and bolts and investing a relatively decent amount on what's in the park. They're not going to be getting out and spending 30-40 million each season as they think. Apparently they will though. So, sorry, more the fool me, Paul.
What's going to happen with the Stevie Gerrard cardboard cutout that was buried in that?
They'll need to get that back out. They'll need to resurrect another dead thing.
Second coming.
Just like their club.
This is the same Stevie Gerrard who, on one of the phone-ins and one of the games before they beat us in one of the games, now they beat us, and the week before it, they were on the phone-ins absolutely screaming for his head. Beat Celtic, everything's fine again, everything's fine. It's the head in the sand loyal attitude that they're falling into again, and long may it continue because the guy's a busted flush. Won a season, when stadiums were shut and people weren't coming to football and no pressure on him. So yeah, let's do it again if it is him.
And that's the thing, as I says, are they easily impressed? Now, I was listening to, for my sins, I was listening to the fabulous scoreboard phone, and I don't know if you got it. It was shared far and wide. You said about Moonhowl and all. Did you not hear the guy that was casting up tackles on Kyogo for 2 years ago and that kind of stuff, and how it was absolutely ridiculous? This is the level. The takeover thing is literally their last vestige, the last thing to grasp onto. And as I says, and listen, I'm always objective, whether on social media talking about it, I've got it. Apparently by having a leveled, balanced and objective outlook on it, you're obsessed, but I always say it's funny that these people want to comment like you're obsessed on it because they're commenting, you're commenting on a Celtic page that you follow's comment. I don't know.
The main thing is that it will keep Celtic agile no matter what Del Boy Trotter outfit or 49ers or American investment, whatever it is, whatever shape it takes. Celtic and the people behind our club who have steered our club to the absolute pinnacle is where we are now, being run properly, will continue to do that, and we'll see any of this as being, do you know what, we'll have a look at that and we'll just keep ourselves going and we'll keep investing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It says it's irrelevant, but I just feel that they're maybe a wee bit easily impressed. We talked about, I heard their captain after one of their last game when they get put out by Bilbao about how Bazza's stabilised the ship. And see me actually look at his win, draw, loss, goals scored, goals conceded. It's garbage. The win in Europe, the win against Celtic, is masking a multitude of sins, but they seem happy with that. They want to keep him around as part of the backroom staff, and likewise they want to see a Steven Gerrard come back who, let's be totally honest here, you can argue to the cows come home about he didn't have the same money. They backed him, they gave him everything that they possibly could have at that time, and a freak season, yes, they still won it, but a freak season where they were somehow probably the only team in the UK who weren't affected by this ongoing health crisis. I don't know how that worked out. But again, they want to go back to that well, and I'm all for that. And Brian, have you any threat, any worry about the mass financial strength of the 49ers group and Steven Gerrard, if he's going to be the next contender?
None.
I like that.
I'm not even going to elaborate. None, because it's season book time. Let's get the season book time. And good luck to them. As I said, good luck to them. The investment, take on the debt. Good luck to them. My only concern is my club in the treble. And good luck to them. Because it's a hard one, because the papers need to print stuff and they need to be on the boil where they're selling. And like McLaughlin says there, it's so tedious, and it's actually laughable because it was meant to be done in January and then February and then March. Now the season books are out. Let's get the 700 quid off them. Let's get some more shares done, and good luck to them.
Are we on strip?
Let's see what happens. So anyway, let's bring this back. Let's finish it up, because we're talking about the positivity. We're talking about the performance. Celtic march on. Absolute trouncing of St Johnstone. An absolute... I was putting on bets, I'll be honest with you, I say it. bet responsibility and all that. I was putting on the sort of 7s and 8s once that 4th one whipped into the net. Great performance. Start up with yourself, Paul, who says, same lineup. We sat there and we asked ourselves, was there going to be any changes? No. Scales, Taylor, Forrest, Ida all retained their place in there. It was a brilliant performance. Back to the best, and good to see back-to-back performances like that.
Yeah, 10 goals over 2 games, foot to the floor, much more cohesive, much more attacking, much more attractive football, less touches. Some of the interplay as well, the wee layoff from Rio, his vision, Callum's just does what he does best. I was quite dubious whether the 3 in the midfield would remain the same or whether there'd be a Bernardo coming in. You know, I'm a big fan of Bernardo. I've been kind of hoping that he would start to see a bit more game time. We see plenty of clips in him and the wee videos that the club do at training. Every time he plays, he's got a wee show reel of different things that he does during games. I'm really still hopeful that he can still be invested and be involved in a lot of the games coming up, and I'm sure he will. But no, back-to-back games, 10 goals scored, 1 conceded. You know, if you were to be given that or told that, you know, towards the end of the season, you'd be delighted. So long may it continue, and we go further now into Tannadice, and looking forward to that.
Oh, definitely. It's a great springboard. It's a good way to do it in style. Say what you will about the opposition, you can only beat what's put in front of you, Brian. For me, looking through my wee notes there, you know, it was a right fast start. What I did like for the early stages was James Forrest. That's a guy that's coming back, and we're talking about options and guys that are going to contribute, raising their game at the right time. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Because it was this time last season that James Forrest really came alive and really contributed and made it. Brilliant for the start. I thought when I looked at St Johnstone, they were so open. The defending was chronic at times. They were just opening up spaces. In that early 20 minutes with about 3-4 shots at goal, including an absolute ridiculous one for big Carter Vickers. I think he had flashbacks to his goal at Parkhead. That'll do it. Instead he hit some poor fans cooking. Some Wayne was greeting after that one. But a brilliant start. And the two guys that we were talking about earlier on, Rio Hatai and Cal McGregor, leading up to McGregor's opening goal, they were a driving force for us, were they not?
They were, and let's not forget Greg Taylor played well as well. Yeah. I mean, he's driving forward and coming into that inside role. But again, as I said to you, it's not easy today. Open teams up like that, it's not easy. But when Celtic are on form, they were opening up teams up and down Europe with that form. So, and it's so nice that it's just happening at the right time. The sun's out, the boys are out, and that performance was just beautiful. And then you've got Kuhn and Jota. They'll need to fight to get back into the team. I'm quite happy Bernardo's not getting rushed back though, Paul, because he's a class act. And 20 minutes just now, and I don't think he'll play at the weekend. Same again, a cameo role. But I think he'll maybe feature not at the Rangers game, but maybe the week after that, because they'll be looking forward to him for next season. I wouldn't rush him back if he's not fully fit. Then I think we've got enough strength and depth in there now to cope with it.
Yeah, I mean the goals were good. Says Calmack's first one, Rio Hatai, 3 assists in that first half. You know, in terms of an all-action performance there, first one's a nice wee ball in, the 1-2 with Forrest, and then again that poor defending that I was talking about there, that it just opened up. There was a chasm just to thread the ball through. A great finish there, and then of course another guy that we've been talking about, and again the media want to take shots. This is, now I know you'll say, Steve-o, you guys have been taking shots at him. Adam Ida, he got himself involved. Nice wee bit of play, doing something that we, you know, I felt that he started slow, started to work his way into the game, got his goal. For the second goal, it's a nice wee sort of hold-up play. What we're actually looking for him to do, for once the ball didn't bounce off him, lays that back to Callum, plays a brilliant pass into Maeda. It was a right good start, and then thereafter he gets his goal, kind of reminiscent to the goal maybe against Aston Villa, flashes across and he's there to poke it home. What did you think of Ida? Because again, going back to what we've said about our dominance, laying bare the pain of the media and those around us, Ida was one who I believe a certain Mr. Hugh Keevins came out and says complete waste of money alongside with Trusty. Now again, caveat that, I know folk might be saying, but you have said they're a waste of money. You said that he's not worth it. Yes, at times we've questioned that. At times we says he need to pull his weight, but that's kind of the that's a fan's prerogative. That's your sort of gift, is it not? I think when you're supposed to be a casual and level observer, it seems a wee bit more two-footed for the media, does it not?
It does. Looking at the wee period last season when Ida came in again, this crucial part of the season where the business end, what Brian was touching on, Easter onwards, that's when Ida really came alive last season. He's come in this season. He's not had a full proper pre-season, obviously, and it's getting to that point of the season again where he's getting on the end of things. Mm-hmm. Just give him more games. I know he's not going to dislodge, obviously, Dyson in the form that he's in, but just wee dribs and jabs and get him a full pre-season coming up, get him into next season and see how he goes. But we just need to give him as much game time as we can and hopeful that he'll give us a good return.
Yeah. Yourself, what's your thoughts, Brian? I've obviously had the opinions of the guys on the show around about Ida. Again, and also just, I know we did feature, but for passing Trusty, two guys that, as I say, have been getting lambasted and given the complete waste of money patter from some of the so-called journalists in our country. Are you seeing, is there promise in Ida? Did you think that his game, by the time that he finished up, had put in enough mileage to say, do you know what, these remaining games, he could turn a corner?
I think he's a smashing player. And I think, I reiterate what Paul says, he's a young guy, came with a big price tag. Now, coming to Celtic isn't easy for somebody to come with that price tag, and you're moving here, you're a young guy, get him the pre-season, get him onto the fixtures. You don't score international goals for no reason at all. He's a smashing big player, and the problem he's going to have is Dyson playing through the middle if Kuhn and Jota's form comes back. But again, it's a squad game, and he's got to show now. He's back in the pitch. He scored a fantastic goal that your man that you talked about earlier, who's lambasted him, he said that his granny could have scored that goal. So, well, good luck to you, because I thought it was a phenomenal striker's finish. Right place, right time. You don't despise the goals. And I think the young guy's got everything he needs, and he terrifies defenders with his strength. But he needs games, Paul says. He needs games. He needs a runner for him. I think he'll play at the weekend. I think they'll keep the same team. I don't think how you can.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's no broke, don't try to fix it.
Barring an injury or anything, I don't think he'll change the team. I think we just go at them. And again, bring Bernardo in 20 minutes again. But you just want to go there and win the championship.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I agree. As Brown Warrior's saying, you're making the right runs and getting the service, and that's the thing I think we're kind of always been missing a trick with, because he's frustrated me. Yes, I've sat here and had criticisms of him. As I says, we always offer our view, positive or negative, based on what we see in that 90 minutes, and it hadn't been pulling his weight, so we can't avoid that there. But I've said time and time again, we saw the good side of what he wants to try and do, like with the second goal where he gets a good bit of hold-up play and he knocks it on, feeds somebody else for the pass, distracting defenders. But he is at his best when he's inside the box, when he's just around about the penalty mark. That's what Celtic do. And I know people tell me, Steve-O, there's more to his game. He's strong, he's fast. Yes, that may well be, but I've said what we should be doing is accentuating the positives and hiding the negatives. Play his strengths. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Absolutely nothing wrong with saying just hover around the box, big man. Don't come out. And I think we could maybe, if we do that between now and then, maybe get another 2 goals out of him, maybe 3 goals for the end of the season. Who knows? Maybe give us another cup final goal, Paul.
Mm-hmm. With the style of play that we've got, with the wing play and the attacks coming through the centre of the park, there's plenty for the big man to feed off. And I think that these games coming up give him the perfect foil. He'll not start them. He could start at Ibrox. I don't know. I don't know how the manager will want to maybe switch it about, maybe play a couple of wee surprises on us. But obviously Dyson's the main show in town in terms of the playing through the middle. It would be great to see they're getting more game time. It's a young player coming in. He's had that big weight on his shoulders. There's obviously been this wee blip off the park, which I think you saw in his celebration the other day. There looked to be a kind of reticent he knows he's made a wee bit of a boo-boo there, and maybe it just takes something like that for him to go like that. Right, I need to screw them up. I'm at a big club here, best chance I've got, big money move, start playing the balls, get the goals, and see where he goes from there.
Yeah, in terms of just wrapping up the goals, obviously again, you've got a Rio assist for the Maeda for 4-0. It's a great finish for Maeda. He's scoring a variety of goals. He's scoring absolute toppers. He's poking goals home. He's scoring headers. That's a great run in for Hatati. He managed to weave through the box, and he's at an absolute standstill. He managed to fish it through the legs of multiple players into the back of the net. The one thing I did say about that I quite liked, though, a lot of that started off, as we said in the last sort of post-match stuff, the introduction, as Brian says, Taylor had a good game yet again. Obviously, that looks more than likely he's going to be kept about. That'll split opinions. As I say, I'm happy to have him in and around the squad, but I do think we need more there. But the move there for that fourth goal really starts again with that urgency that Big Scales gives you, driving into the midfield to pump that ball in and get the ball moving and getting us up the park. It's good to see these guys coming into the team. As you say, we're going to probably keep that team, Brian, get into the game against Dundee United. Scales and Taylor, for me, have been right good value for money in speeding up our play since they've come back in.
Absolutely. And just touching back on Ida's, he scored 15 goals. Now, if this guy, as Paul said, if he'd scored 20 goals this season, for a striker, that's a brilliant season. and he's had a few injuries, but no, I think as I said, they'll keep the same team. The Scales will be knobbing everybody's kind of hit list as being the main man there, but I think Trusty just needed a wee break as well, take him out of the limelight. But I think he's another class act, the young guy. But Big Scales, you know what you're getting with him. When you're dominating games, he's going to be there, and he's a goal threat as well. But no, I think moving forward, they'll be the exact same team at the weekend. How could you change it? Not mean after the two performances, you can't.
You can't, and we make the subs, as you say. The question was always going to be, I'd sort of championed this, if you will, where I had said that get into that game, I actually expected to bring in Jota at the expense of Ida, just simply, and folk were saying to me, what has Jota done, what's Kuhn done that Ida hasn't? Well, I says, well, he came in and I didn't think Ida was great. I think he managed to show his worth in the end, so well done to him, and hopefully kicks on with that. But Jota does come on and he almost instantaneously scores. It's a brilliant ball at the back post there by AJ, whips that in, and he absolutely smashes it home, Paul. It's a great goal, well taken. And as I say, for a confidence standpoint, wanting your players to get a wee shot in the arm can't do us any harm, that, can it?
Brian touched on it earlier on. We've scored some absolutely brilliant goals in just even the past few games that if it wasn't Celtic and it was, a team in the Premiership or whatever, they'd be waxing lyrical about it. Wee touches, single touches, the ball for Kuhn, he just puts a perfect amount on it. And again, this is a guy who's been in for a wee bit of criticism recently. He just come onto the park with the right attitude, that tiny wee bit, just enough on it that AJ's run comes through, takes it on, and Jota's in the right place, just perfect. The finish from Jota is not an easy one to take as well.
No, it's not. It's quite an acute angle, it's quite tight, and he gets a lot of power to get it across the goalkeeper and into the far corner.
And a nice great experience for the wee young fan that gets the wee cuddle at the end.
Yes. And then, of course, he get carted away with that security guard like he was a murderer.
All that's wrong about football.
Really good. Really good.
Over the top.
The remaining guys, just to finish up on the game there, the remaining guys that we got on, we got a wee appearance for, obviously, Jota, as we said, Kuhn, McCowan. Later on, we got the introduction, 20 minutes for Bernardo and 13 minutes for Ralston. Paul, the big one seems to be Kuhn's always one that's coming down. Where are you at with Nicholas Kuhn? Some are saying that his head's turned, he's a likely candidate, as likely as maybe Hatate is, but although he seems to have been up his form, maybe he's buying back in. Kuhn's a bit of a strange one at this moment because early season he would have been 100% in the mix for that Player of the Year. It's just not happening now, is it?
We talked about it early in the season on one of the shows I was on, and before the rise of the mercurial dyes in Maeda, there was some play that was coming from Kuhn that was genuinely Player of the Year stuff. It was brilliant. Every game he was just setting it alight. Maybe there's been a wee kind of turning of the head. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes with agents as well. And then he played well for us in Europe as well, and you just hope that he is going to stick around because he is a natural talent who's, again, a young player who will look around him and say, do you know what, this is good winning trophies, and I've got a manager here who'll put his arm on me and help me out with my game.
I mean, he might be bored there, but he might be bored.
Do you know, that's it. If the boy...
Brian...
I'm not bored yet. Before you ask me that question, I'm not bored yet.
No, we couldn't. I'm just talking about we couldn't. I look at Kuhn's past record at teams, And similar to a Haksabanovic type guy, he doesn't stick about too long. He obviously has points where he's playing well enough that he earns himself a move, but then does he have a wee flash and then he dies off? Where are you at with Nicholas Kuhn? Because I can't quite put my finger on it, to be honest with you.
I think, mate, he was my player of the year at Christmas time with a country mile, not just that. And then Dyson's came at the fore. I think he'll be away in the summer. I think he's gone. I think the big price tag will go. Jota's arrival, they're probably looking at buying another boy for down the road, a winger. I think he'll see this as a nice wee stepping stone. He's won the treble. You can't ask for, well, not yet. He's got an opportunity to win the treble. And I think he'll go having won great trophies, great experience. And unless Brendan's got a magic wand and keeps him, I think he'll be away.
Yeah, it's hard, and as I say, mixed opinions on what's happened with Kuhn. As I say, undoubtedly he's fantastic. He's absolutely brilliant. Since the Munich game, he's not quite been the same, and I do agree to an extent to what you're saying there and what other people are saying, that perhaps the return of Jota, he was, Kuhn was the main man. He was the new Jota, and then the original comes back, and sometimes the tribute act isn't as good as the old one, as we well know from other situations. But a hard one to tell, as I say, it really, for me, I would like to keep, if you were telling me I was going to get on form Nicholas Kuhn, 100% want to keep him about. I'm not writing players off by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, I do think when we look at the players that we've been getting linked with, Balikwisha's coming up again constantly, that kind of thing. That could well say that your T's out there, although we look at the depth. Forrest is probably going to be a bit partish. Yang's not quite fully established himself. So I reckon we're probably looking at wanting to bring in at least two wingers, to be honest, when the summer comes round.
What a find. Even if Kuhn does go, what a find he's been.
Yeah, brilliant.
We're very quick at times to criticise. We're scouting at times when things don't go right. But, I mean, the likes of the players that we've brought in from Japan, I know that's a different era and everything else. We've got a really good network that we really have to keep digging away and trying to unearth these gems, because whoever found Kuhn and managed to get him to us, even if it doesn't happen and he does go, it's been brilliant to have him at the club. And if he does go, he goes with a blessing, but it'd be great to keep him, and if his head's in it.
Definitely. Well, guys, we'll start to wrap things up. Just a wee quick 2-second look ahead to the weekend. Since we finished that game pretty dominant, as we say, 64% possession, 20 shots on goal, 8 on target, 8 off target, the rest all blocked, just complete and utter dominations. I say, boring and tedious to say the least. We'll look towards the game at the weekend. Now, there is potentially the chat that obviously with Papa Francis's passing, that there could well potentially be a shutdown of football. Now, I don't know about you guys. Brian, is that something that's actually going to happen in this country?
No, I can't see it. But again, funnier things have happened, and to be honest with you, it'd be absolutely glorious if the game was cancelled and our next home game is where it is. I think if they do anything, they would move it. But no, I can't see it happening. Not at this late stage, which is. But again, we'll have our tribute and they'll do their thing. But I can't see it happening. But you know yourself, funnier things have happened in football. But no, I'll be quite happy that the game's on. You'll get loads of folk travelling here. 42 quid a ticket by all accounts as well. And
see, Dundee United taking advantage, doing the right thing.
Why not though? Get yourself. They could make £300,000-400,000. That's a couple of players' wages next season. Why not? St Johnstone selling the 3 stands. Why not?
Yep. Some of these clubs at the start of the season that were turning their nose up at away fans, and they would shut us out, and they would make extra seats for their own fans that still never turned up. So it's good to see that common sense has prevailed with that.
I hope the game's on. I really do. I hope the preparation's there and the game's on, and we go and just go about our business beautifully.
Yeah. And to finish up, guys, dare I push you for a outcome? As we well know, when it comes to Dundee and playing against Dundee United, it's a happy hunting ground historically for wins of the league. Obviously, most recently, Yakimakis securing it, a real hero's moment there for him. And of course, we know big Jan Venegura Hess, like many, many moons ago, doing the exact same there. Is there going to be, who's going to be, I'll let you just predict, who's going to be the next hero? Is it going to be a dominating 3-0 or 4-0 like we've been accustomed to the past 2 games, Paul? Or is it going to be a nip and tuck one where somebody's going to rise? Is Adam Ida going to be the next big striker that does it?
You just stole my thunder there a wee bit. We were talking about him earlier on, and I don't know to what extent, but I think Ida will have an influence over these coming games. I'll say another 3-4-0. I don't know if I'd go any higher than that, but I think they'll be a really professional wanting to bust through this end period of the season and really finish it in style. So I'll go with a 4-0, and I think Ida will feature in amongst it.
Any advance on that, Brian?
No, I think the star man, the player of the season, will score again, and I think for Celtic history, a goal from James Forrest would be just absolute.
He needs that goal, doesn't he? Although it would be nice if he saved that up for the game against Rangers when we get the guard honour, Yeah.
It'd be interesting if there was a penalty and we were actually up in the game and he was playing, if they would give it to him. I don't know. It'd be fantastic. But no, I think Dyson will just continue the reign of form, and because his pace is far too much troubling for their two defenders that's there. And again, a nervous game, because it's always nervous getting over the line. But I think if we score early and we play early, we could be looking at 3-0 again, nice and comfortable.
Well, you know that if we go and we win, particularly if we win in dominant fashion, poor Jim Goodwin's going to get chucked under the bus because he was at Hampden with his boy, do you know what I mean? And he would have just laid down. It's tedious, it's boring, it's a fat up there on it to help us out and diminish the chances of Rangers, aren't they?
I can assure you, as a professional footballer, there's nothing you would want more than another team coming to your park and winning the title, no matter what your persuasion is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got professional dignity, and they'll be out to make sure there's no party there, and that'll be the team talk. But we just turn up, go and do the business.
And Brian, just to finish up, speaking of professionalism and professional courtesy, guard honour at Ibrox in.
You won't get it.
Big Barry Brooks wouldn't allow it, wouldn't he? He would say, do you know what I think he would do? He'd say, turn your back on them. That's what to do. Just be staunch, fold your arms, whip out, turn your back.
It's quite laughable, but good luck to them.
We turn up and do our talking on the park. That's all that we need to do in these next fixtures. That's my team talk. There you go.
To finish up, really, this is to finish up. We've seen this. You know, I'm a geek. The tops. We saw that top with Jota when he looked like he woke up out of bed. We've seen a proper photo of it. It looked as if it was lime green. It's kind of like I don't know, is it a bumblebee-ish? I don't know. Paul, you were hating on it. Does seeing the official product do anything more for you?
No. It would if they took those white pinstripes off it in the sponsors, maybe an unsponsored version of that, because it's got that old classic Liverpool style Fernando Torres era neck that I don't mind, but they need to get rid of the white pinstripes. I'm sorry.
Brian, are you a shirt man? Are you an aficionado? Does that do anything for you?
I love the tops, and I think it looks like Borussia Dortmund top, to be honest with you, when I see it. But I think all the tops are starting to get too similar now, because it's Adidas. And as Paul said, the away top's always hard, and it's always very difficult. Yeah. But no matter what, we'll sell it out anyway. So
just get the bumbles back.
Yeah, that's it. I'm a traditionalist. I like a black away top. Give me a wee bit of gold in there. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Black or a bumblebee. See if you want to go fully retro. Bring back the 94, 95, the cheese and onion tap, as I called it, yellow arm, green arm, and a madness, or a big spew of colour over it. Give me something like that. Go wild, Adidas. Give the people what they want. No people sponsored. Dark days, Brian testify. You'll testify. The days when you were running about in that tap and folk were slagging you off, right? Yep, those days are gone. It's tedious glory now. Anyway, listen, guys, thank you very much for joining. I've had an absolute blast. It's been a good laugh tonight. And thanks to everybody who's been watching. Greatly appreciate your support. As we say, before you leave, if you haven't done it, hit the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing. Helps grow the numbers. We're trying to push on. The next big milestone will be 2,000 subscribers. Can we do it? Hopefully we can. Our operation is small, but there's plenty of room for rapid expansion. You know what to do to help us out and kick that along. So anyway, we will be back in around about the Dundee United game. Hopefully we're celebrating a double en route to our treble. So, guys, take care of yourselves. Until next time, hail, hail. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.